Hi folks, welcome back to Fishing with Den, and we're on a 3-day tournament again today, and it's about to start. I've had 2.5 hours to get set up, and it's taken me that long to do it. I'm literally just ready. I've got 3 keep nets in the water, more behind me, so guess what? We're hoping to be bagging up today. It's going to be a bit like a commercial, but actually we're on quite a big river. It's a couple of 100 meters wide. Flow inside is not much at all. As you go further out, it just gets faster and faster, and it's about 19 feet deep out at about 20 odd meters. So when the whistle goes, I'm going to be going out on the pole, short, slightly longer and slightly longer. Those are the 3 lines. I'll explain a bit more of it later. Haven't really got time now, but even now the keep nets are kind of getting in the way of what I'm trying to do. However, we'll sort that. I'll probably start off on the short line. In fact, I haven't even got a rod rest set up for me feeder. I might be fishing a feeder at some point if it's really bad, but I'm not really envisaging it. I think the best thing is we'll start in a minute and watch what happens. Okay, that's the whistle just gone to start, or the shout out, and I'm going to start off with 3 sections of pole to hand. It's a 2 gram or so float, 2.5 gram float, and I'm just going to put it out there and start feeding these bits of corn. Now it's actually a bit more flow on the water today than there was yesterday, so not quite sure how that's going to affect things. There's some gates up above, but you can see it's really shallow on the inside here, and it then starts to fall away, but you can't walk out any further than that, because if you do, there's sort of like quicksand about that deep or more. If you take a pole section, you can shove it all the way down so that it literally it would keep going. So you've got to be really careful. It's very dangerous, unfortunately. This initial bit just where I'm sitting isn't too bad at all. Oops, first bite and I missed it. I'll blame you. Just using a piece of corn on the hook and just letting it trot through. Now you're probably saying to yourself, Den, why don't you fish with a long pole and a short leash to the float? Well, it's not quick enough, frankly. Once this starts going like this, there we are, got me landing net. I've got 22 elastic in, and there's my first fish, which weighs probably, I don't know, 12 ounces maybe, 10-12 ounces, and of course it swallowed it, which is why I've got this around my neck today. 1. I'm going to try and keep count, but the average seems to be between 1 and 3 pounds, but some of them are really small, some of them are a bit bigger. Doesn't seem to be any sort of standard sizing on it, but here we go, look. Just keep some feed going in. And here we go. This is only a speed race today, as you probably gathered, and I'm having to literally give it no quarter, just get him in. 2. He's pulling well, isn't he? Not all that big, but he's pulling well. Hang on. I actually practiced on this peg yesterday. Who knew, eh? And I've drawn it in the match. So all my rigs were already set up, ready to go. It's really just a question of making the most of it now. Yesterday, obviously I didn't fish with keep nets, and I was fishing just off the end of that keep net, just there. I'm going to start putting bait in there because I'm going to have top two as well, which I'll set up. Oh, sorry, I've got set up down here, but literally just there, I'm fishing off the end of my keep net. It just drops down just after the keep nets, by the way, in case you're wondering about the depth. It's probably 3 feet just past that. Oh, small one. They fight though, don't they? Fight like stink. 4. Fished here a few years ago, not long after I arrived in this country, and it was racing through on the inside and even more racing through on the outside. And everybody was catching with 100-gram feeders and things like that, and the biggest I had was a 45, so I think the less said about that debacle the better. But this year it's slightly different. Slightly different. There's a bit less flow and we're able to fish with poles, although a lot of the lads will go out over there for the bigger fish. And when I say big fish, you're looking at sort of 15-pounders, that sort of thing. And that's a lot of these to 15 pounds. But then if I can do, you know, these really quickly, it takes them time to get the 15-pounders on. So, bit of a decision to make as to what you actually do. What's that, 5? You've never really seen me speed fishing before, have you? It's all about efficiency. Everything to hand, get a nice smooth rhythm, and away you go. So you can see how this works. It's like I always say, it ain't rocket science, Den, it ain't rocket science. But I will just feed, as I said before, just this line on the end of my keep net there as well. There's thousands of these things in here. So hopefully I can keep them coming. You may also notice I've got a spoon landing net. Spoon being the shallow landing net, of course, but it's actually not. It's a Guru Competition 500, and I've actually tied up all the edges there to make it a lot shorter, because bending down all that time, the first day I fished, gave me backache because I'm old. Ooh, don't know what that was, but I caught on something then on the way down. That wasn't there the other day. There's all sorts of rubbish that comes down these rivers. You can probably see a tree there in the water, and there's all sorts of other things as well. Oops. I know I'm going over the place where I've just baited, but it doesn't seem to bother them too much. See what I mean about them being ravenous and wanting to swallow it all the time? Come on, there we go. Well, it's a decent start so far, I just hope it continues. 6-hour match as usual. Technically you should feed first and then put your bait in, but your rig in, but it doesn't seem to matter here. Whatever's the quickest, frankly, as you've probably just gathered. Oh, caught up behind me. These are small today, smaller than yesterday. Well, that's 9 fish I think it is, and we're 11 minutes in I think. That's not too bad. Current's a bit stronger today. I don't know if I mentioned that. They've got some lock gates up ahead up there, and they can open them or close them to suit what they need. And after this one, I'm going to try that literally top 2 to hand job. Let's 10 that. Just see how we go. It might not work, but I can get them at 2 meters to hand instead of this, top 2 to hand. It is quicker, and this elastic is again a 22, and it's tied down tight. In fact, I noticed I've lost the number 6 shot off the bottom. I don't know if that's going to make a lot of difference just at the moment. I should have checked that. But as you can see, it's right next to the end of the keep net there. And off we go again, look. Oops, caught around his fin somehow. There we are. You do love to swallow it in here. It's amazing how 2.5 hours to set up, I only just had a couple of minutes left. Normally I'm set up before that, but today, maybe I'm just getting old. Today's my birthday, by the way, 20th of October, and I'm 68. Happy birthday, Den. See why I'm using the shallow spoon net now? So much easier than having to bend down and reach right down to the bottom of a net. Just give me cramp before doing that. Come on. Go the hook. Just talking about rigs for a second. This is a 1.5 gram float. I've got 10-pound Guru dragline on. It's a size 10 B911 Kamasan hook, and it's just speed fishing. It's like gudgeon fishing on the canal, but for carp. You've got to laugh, haven't you? Oh, maybe not then. I'll put me collar up. Getting a bit warm today. We're going to get about 35. See, slowed right down now. But what do you expect when you're dragging them across the top here? Got no room between the keep nets to do anything else, so yeah, that's kind of died off that swim, hasn't it? We'll give it one more run through. Go back to the further out swim. Today's a Friday, and obviously they're all starting to come out on their boats for the weekend now. Oh yes, you'll do. I'm not going to put sections on, but it's going to hang on. This is obviously a slightly bigger fish, and it seems to be snagged on something. You know, I fished here all day yesterday and there was no snag. Today, look at that. Ah, no, disaster. Come on. Right, well, I'm going to pull for a break, get another rig sorted out. This is where you've got to be really careful. These things are dangerous. It's obviously come down overnight in the current, this snag, whatever it is. Such strong line. Yeah, lost everything, look. Damnation. Could do without that then. It's going too well. All too well. Right, back out. hope that's not going to cause me another problem today, because you can't afford to be having to set new rigs up. Right, I'm re-rigged. I've got myself back out there. I actually didn't put another rig on just immediately. I went out there onto the other line for a short while just to see how that went. And now I'm back into the rhythm again. As I said before, you seem to... Oh, he's going to that snag. Get out there. Just pull hard. I'm actually getting bigger fish on the inside today than I was further out, I think. I was getting some really small ones out there. I know I'm having to bring it over the top of my baited area, but as I said, not much else I can do. That's a good 3-pounder. Just about get my hand around him. Speed in fishing isn't all about speed in what you're doing, it's about efficiency and smoothness. If you rush at stuff, you're going to be less smooth and therefore you actually catch less. So don't go rushing at it, guys. Yeah, if you can get pound and a half fish every chuck, it soon makes up a weight, doesn't it? I'm not sure how many I've got now. I've got a feeling that's about 20. With all the messing around there, I kind of lost count. I should probably get a clicker for these sorts of jobs, but we only do this once a year. See? Disappeared again. Not surprising, as I say, when you're dragging them over the top, so we'll just keep alternating. Yeah. One more quick chuck and then see how we go and go back out there. I came with 95 tins of corn to this match. That's for 5 days fishing, 3 days in the match and 2 days of practicing, and 30 kilos of ground bait. Now, I may not use it all, but it's certainly easy to use 15 cans a day and 6 kilos of ground bait, which is 25 litres when it's made up, and that is there as 8 litres. Dead. Right, as we said, move out again. First day I fished, I actually had, would you believe, 43 fish in 30 minutes. Just doing that top 2 to hand. But this is a match day. And I haven't got anything like that today, unfortunately. I've actually got another rig set up on a normal sort of a short leash setup, standard sort of pole float to trotting setup, but I'm hoping to do it this way because it's just quicker, but then you don't get the same presentation as you can when you're able to hold back. And for those of you that are thinking they've come up in the water as I'm loose feeding, this isn't like a commercial in the UK. Over here the fish rarely come off the bottom. So where normally I'd be going shallower on a still water, here I can go a bit shallower, but yeah, mostly this seem to stay around the bottom. Might try putting some ground bait down there at some point, just see how that goes. Yep, I'm going to have one more go out there, put a bit of ground bait out, try it first of all without any corn in it, see how that goes, give it a couple of balls, give it a good squeeze so it goes down quick, and breaks it when it gets down there, not on the way down. Oh yes. Actually, I might stay out there just for a minute. Oh yeah, that was over the top of that ground bait. Maybe that's making a difference. Mind you, they are coming well to this ground bait now, aren't they? Keep doing this for a while. Put a few bits of corn, I think, in the ground bait just to perk it up a little bit as well. Yeah, slow down out there again, look. A few little dibbles, but not seeing a proper bite. There we go. I'll give the inside line a quick go. Oh, this one's a bit bigger. Probably only about £4. It might even be 3, but didn't he fight? This will be 40 fish, by the way. A lot of smaller ones in between. This guy's fighting like stink. Are we doing it? No, we're not doing it yet. Oh, didn't know when to give up, did you, mate? Yeah, I reckon that's a good £4. Always helps because I've been catching 3 and 4 ounce fish. But I'm catching steadily now. Ground bait seems to have helped. But the wind's getting up, which is not going to help. Let's have a quick look at the time. 11:29, and I've got 51 fish. So it's an hour and a half in for 51 fish. It's not enough then, not enough. Need to be catching quicker than this. That's a bit better. Seem to get a flurry of small ones, followed by an odd, decent one, and a medium-sized one, and then flurry of small ones again. This one's decent. Yeah, he's probably £4, which is handy. Well, all right, 3.5 then. Oh no, I think he's a 4 because I only just hold him. Thank you. Happy birthday, Den. And a cloth somewhere. It's hard work, this speed fishing. And damn dorsal fins catching in the net constantly. Now I've got the hook caught in it. Right. Sometimes the only thing you can do is just clip the top of it off. It's just like fingernails, it doesn't hurt them at all, and it stops it from hurting my net as they tear nets to pieces. What was that, 53? Alright, well that's 70 fish, and we'll have a quick look at the time. Come on, get the hook out. Where we're at. 11:50. So, catching up. Trying to do 40 an hour, which is incredible, I suppose, when you think about it. But it's possibly doable. Especially when you're putting it in and it keeps going under. And it seems like ground bait's the trick. Laced with a little bit of corn. Maybe they were coming up a bit off the bottom. That was causing me the issue. And although they don't, as I said before, they really don't come off the bottom here, but maybe that's what it was, and maybe I was wrong. Well, if we get a bite this time, this will be 100 fish. Yeah, okay. My arm's aching, my back's going, but I'm enjoying it. I don't know if I can do it for 2 more days is all. Still getting one every chuck. Quick look at the clock, and it is 12:35. Well, that's not bad. Catching up with me 40 mark, aren't I? 40 an hour. Oof. Well, that's 159. I've been catching well, but lots and lots of small fish. See what I mean? Tiny little things. Well, that's 160 anyway. Let me just take this one off and we'll have a look at the time. See where we're at. It's not a 10 hook. Right, we're at... Oh, we're only at 1:39. We've got another 20 minutes to go yet for the thing, so do another 20 fish in that time. Things in roundabouts, I suppose, but I can do with still catching the bigger ones. Right, well that's 179, but I'm getting a lot of small fish, much smaller than this, and it's given me a quandary. Do I try something different, or do I continue to do the same in case the bigger fish turn up, as in the fish over a pound? I mean, one of the things I can do is go further out and fish normally with a pole, with a short lead, and see how that goes. A bit deeper obviously as well. But these small fish are turning into a real pain. See, some of them are a reasonable size, sort of 12-ounce bracket, which you can live with, but the really small ones, the sort of 4 ounces, they're really not helping. See, even these ones, this is probably 6 to 8 ounces. Not really going to do it. Need bigger fish. So, I have two options actually. I can do what I just said. Oh, that was 180, wasn't it? Hang on, let's see where we're at. Yeah, I've still got 3 minutes to go. So I'm doing more than 60 fish an hour, but they're too small. Anyway, the second option is to chuck the feeder out there. But, yeah, it's too much of a gamble. If I do that, I might catch a decent sized one, but then again I might not. I think actually, on reflection, it's a 3-day match. Let's see what the results are. I'll continue bagging up on these smaller ones, and then see what the results are, see how they caught, because you can always get good information and intelligence after the weigh-in, and see what the winning weights were. But yeah, bit of a quandary. So we're 4 hours in, 2 to go. Might just try feeding a little bit heavier. I'm probably bringing hordes of small stuff, but oops, got to try something different, like I always say. The wind's getting up, that's just not helpful. And we'll get sort of 3 or 4 small balls in. See if that gives me anything bigger. Well, that's a bigger one. See, if they were all like this, it wouldn't be so bad. I mean, do I go through the small fish? You often notice when you're match fishing that you get a load of small fish at one point and then you get through them and you start getting the bigger ones because you've decimated the small ones. But I don't know. And that's one of the things about fishing. You don't always know, and so you're always learning. I'll just keep a bit of bait going in for a minute and see what happens. No real current to speak of, so I'm not going to worry about sort of where the bait's landing. Not very far at all from where it's going in, frankly. Well, it's small, it's not as small as it was. We'll just keep trying this increased frequency of putting the old bait in. Oh, great, that's right. Actually, I've lost count of where I'm at now. Is that 182, 183, something like that? I think it's 183. Should buy myself a clicker, shouldn't I? Thing is, I don't do this kind of thing often enough to worry about that. There's a time. 2:15. Got 1 hour and 3/4 to go. Well, I think after this one I'll be on 220, which is above the target. But unfortunately the fish, as I said, are so small that it's kind of thrown me behind target. Although I'm having 1 or 2 now that are slightly larger. Not this one. Having a couple in the sort of £1 to £2 range. Oops, what are you doing, Den? Quick update then. We've got 1 hour to go and I've got 237 fish. Told you it was speed fishing for carp, didn't I? You risk killing me. I don't know if I'll be able to make the next 2 days, like I said. But as you've seen, I've just done this all day. So it's produced. It's still producing. And they're still catching in the net. And that's 238. Not bad though, eh? Well, this will be 282 if it comes in. slightly bigger than before, which is great. I wish they were all like this. 282, and we'll check the time in a sec. Oh, go down the back of the keep net. I wish I could put the keep nets further off to the left, but there'd be no water, unfortunately. Right, come on fish, 282. Right, so that is 282. We'll get this off and we'll check that time. And we've got 12 minutes to go. Oh, 12 minutes, 12 fish. Unlikely, but doable. Less than a minute. Need it to go under. Fish on! Well, that was handy, wasn't it? That 290, what was I on? 292? 291? Oh, whatever. We'll call it 292 because I can't remember what the last number was. Oh, and these are definitely getting bigger now. Shame I couldn't have caught these all day. Whew. Right, so I'll get packed up, and for you, I'll see you in a few seconds. For me, I'll get the results, get me dinner tonight, and back here tomorrow morning, and that's where you'll be seeing me next. Hi folks, welcome back to day 2 of the Masters Festival, 3-day festival. So first of all, I better tell you about results of yesterday, and I ended up, as you know, speed fishing, I ended up with 110 kilos, which is something just over 240 pounds. And the even better news is that, of course, I managed to win the match, which is handy. But it's a 3-day festival, so it doesn't mean too much. The best news really is that obviously I won my section, and obviously again, sorry, to just explain a bit, to win this festival you have to score well on all 3 days, and then it's your aggregated points, and you get 1 point for first, 2 points for second, and so on. When they're added up, the person with the least points wins the festival. So as I was saying, I won the section, but it's also a pairs match. And my partner, old Richard up there, you've probably heard me talk about him before, but old Richard came second. He had 105 kilos, so there wasn't much in it, but he also won his section. So we're doing well as a team. As for today, different kettle of fish altogether. You'd have seen yesterday I was struggling to get enough water for my keep nets, even at full extension. Today, where I'm sitting is fine, but then it just drops off, and I've probably got 5 feet on a top 2. Which is literally on the end of my keep nets. And do you know what? I'm going to give that a go. Other than that, I'm going to do the same as before, which was the top 3 section, swing out to hand. I've got a 2 gram float for that to start with, but I'll talk about the weather conditions in a second. I've also got a 5.5 gram float for either further out or to boss the conditions. Now, as I say, hopefully you can see a bit of grass in the water. There's hardly any movement, which is what I want. Half a section further on, it starts to get faster, and by the time you've got out to, say, a top 2 plus 2, it's going through pretty damn quick, and it's fairly deep. So it's going to be small fish, so the plan is to see if I can get them as close in as possible, because the wind is expected to get up to 45 kilometers an hour today, and that's about, guessing, at 30 miles an hour. We all know what it's like to fish in a wind, especially with the pole, and with also the current and all the rest of it. The good news is that the wind's, at the moment anyway, it's going that way, current's going that way, so it's not as though the wind's pushing my float down, it's actually helping me to some extent. But I'm going to have to work out the best way to fish this, as always in a match. There will be some differences to yesterday, but we're probably about 15 minutes away from the all-in, so I've got a few more bits and pieces to do, and I'll get back to you once we start. Alright. Okay, that's the start. I'm just going to start on this top two, and I'm going to be literally fishing off the end of my keep net. I suspect if it doesn't go according to plan today, I might be catching me keep net, but anyway, I'll just run it through a couple of times, but you can see it's pretty still. I'm getting a cup of tea in now. I haven't even put any bait in yet. Pretty still down there, but I've got depth. So come on, fish. On. It could be a long day, couldn't it? Let's get far out. Just wanted to run it through first of all to make sure there was no snags. Some of the guys yesterday had snags all over the place and they were really struggling on it. My partner Richard has already busted his number 5 section today on a snag. He must have been pulling for a break and he hadn't even started. He was only plumbing up or running through. I'm not quite sure what he was doing, but oops, there's a bite. Hopefully he's got an extra number 5 section. Current here is just spot on, just off the end of your keep net, and with the depth I've got, that's excellent. Shame I can't hit any bites. Come on, Dan, get a grip. Oh, come on. What are you playing at? That's better. I know I'm bringing them over the top of where I'm fishing, but it's kind of difficult not to when you're fishing at the top two to hand, or basically to hand. That's the problem I've got at the moment. The current's pulling the nets around and the heads of the nets are getting in the way. I'll have to make some adjustments for that. To move that around there a little bit. Ow! Hook sharp. Just feeding corn to start with. Some of the guys were saying they found that the carp were reticent to take ground bait yesterday. Of course, I found the opposite, but we'll feed our way in and see what happens. Oh, that's small, isn't it? 3. Come on, make your hands work, Dan. As I said yesterday, it's all about getting a rhythm, being smooth. Don't rush at it. You don't need to rush. And if you do rush, you tend to find it makes you more slow, or slower. Oh, these are small, aren't they? Good grief. That is small. And even then it dropped off. Might need to go further out to find the bigger ones, because those aren't going to do me any good. Hopefully the bigger fish will turn up and get rid of those. That's a better fish. Oops, 4. Caught me keep net as well. Oh, that's a start. This wind's not helping at all today. This is where I fall in, guys. It's getting stronger and stronger already. Right, so 4 then. Too small then. 6, swallowed it as well. These nets are going to become a problem later on, I think, between the gaps. Oh, good grief. I didn't have one this small yesterday. I'm not even counting that one. Too small. I'll persevere with this for a short while just to see if the bigger fish do turn up, because it's much easier to fish on this line than it is further out with the, slightly better, with the current and the wind coming up and all the rest of it. And I've got the depth in front of me. Yesterday it was very little down at the top 2 section, which is why I didn't really fish it. Right, it's a bit slow, so I'm gonna just change to using some ground bait. I've got out 11 fish so far, but as yesterday, it slowed down immediately. So it could be that they're coming up in the water, but as I said, normally they don't. It's not a thing over here. They don't see bait, as you know, so they don't come up in the water. But maybe these ones do. Because it's definitely slowed down from that first 11 fish. I may just have to go out further and live with the wind, but I'm really hoping that I can do this all day and bag up, because it's going to get stronger and stronger all day. See, that's running through now and there's no bites. And yet there's billions of fish in here. There we go. Hopefully that ground bait, as I say, will also bring on the big fish, or bigger fish. Gonna need some thinking about this. Should be deep enough down there to keep them coming. Well, it looks like that ground bait's paying off. I've had 4 or 5 fish in the last 4 or 5 casts, and getting bites quite quickly. So fish still aren't big enough, but then I'm never happy, am I? So I think that makes 20 fish altogether. I think that's 35, but I'm going to go back to the car and get a sweatshirt. I am absolutely freezing. I didn't want to do it, but sometimes you just got to be a wuss. Oh, got a little bit of ground bait in. Tell you what, not only am I going to put a sweatshirt on, I'm also going to put it over the top of my t-shirt here. Ooh, I never expected this today. Back in a sec, guys. Ooh. Well, that's better. Right, what do I do with my... okay. Ooh. Doesn't do much for your rhythm when you're freezing, I'll give it that. Oh dear, oh dear. Stop complaining then. Right, 35 wasn't it? These are definitely the stamper fish I want. Those ones from the closer in swim, which are much easier to catch, but were far too small. I mean, these are sort of £1 a piece, and that's a good, nice sort of size of fish to be catching. 61. And if I actually had 61 of them, I'd have £61 already in an hour and a half, but I haven't. But I have caught some fish and we're working it out, and that's what you've got to do. Oh, a bit smaller this time. There's me saying that they're bigger here. You do get the variations, of course. Caught his fin again. $62. Well, I'm quite enjoying this now, once I've warmed up a little bit. Well, no, I don't have anyway. I'm just trying a new tactic. As I said, we're actually, where are we? We're just fractionally over 2 hours in, and I'm now at 79 fish. So what I've started to do is go in, and then where I reckon my ground bait is actually landing in this fairly strong current, I'm actually holding back hard. So let it go down there. Previously I just let it trot through, of course. So about there, and just hold back hard, and I thought that was a bite, but the thing is, some of the bites can be quite tentative considering the conditions. Just run that through again. Get that through to about there, and then hold back. Yeah, there you go. This one's not too big a one, but it will make it up to 80. It's just coming up to 2 o'clock. I've got 150 fish. The wind's a real pain in the backside, and I'm having to do it slightly different. I've got the pole on the rest and allowing it to come around, and that way I can get some control. Struggling for control otherwise, because this wind's so gusty. At least this way I can force the rod down onto the pole rest and keep it steady. Seems to work quite well, that it's coming round in the current, although I must admit this time I screwed up the cast a little bit. But when it comes to rest, that's when I seem to get the bite. But this wind is a real pain. We could have done without this weekend. I'll try and show you what I'm doing. It's literally flick it out, the weights go right out, and then all I'm going to do, put that down there, force it down, and then it comes around in the current. I'm sure you probably can't see this, but the float's coming around now, and then as it comes around, it's under some sort of slightly tight leash, and I very often get a bite as it's going round like that. The trouble is, it's difficult to see unless you get a proper pull under whether you've got a bite, and yesterday I was striking any kind of twitch. Keep feeding the ground bait then. A couple of feet out from where I'm fishing, feeding, the current's quite bad, but where I'm actually pulling around to at the end of the pole tip, it's quite reasonable. It's almost like there's a crease out there, but I can't see it, but I'm pretty sure it's there. It does seem to give me reasonable size of fish too. They're not exactly pounders, but they are getting on towards sort of 3/4 of a pound or so. Flies. Okay, well, we've got 2 hours to go then. Let's see what we can put together. Well, that one was number 210, and literally I've had a fish every cast for the last few minutes. So, where are we at now? Yeah, 9 minutes, 10 fish. It's coming and going, coming and going. I'm having to change sort of how I present the bait and how I feed, where I feed actually, whether I hold back, whether I run it through. But at the moment, they're there and they're feeding. As I say, this will be 211 with just fractionally under an hour to go. $15.52, so $3.52, and I've got 249, so I've got a chance to put an extra couple of bonus ones in. Don't know how much good they'll do me, but 249 isn't a bad total, it's just small. Still running through and catching fish most chucks, but as I say, they're all these small ones. This actually is gone. Ah! Look at that mess. Tangled around the float, tangled around the shot. Oh, the shot's come out. Right, it should see the float. Come on. Come on, get out. Yes. Right, okay. Still on 249. There we go. Oh, maybe not. Alright! Well, that's the end of the second day. Done alright, haven't we? It's just, as always, you want to do a bit better. Just hoping that the weather conditions have affected the others the same as they have me. I've had to use this big heavy float, which I don't think has helped particularly. It's just one of those things, isn't it? It's what you have to put up with. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow and we'll get the results and we'll crack on for the final day, day 3. Hey folks, welcome back for day 3, the final day of the tournament. Results from yesterday, yeah, I had 65 kilos, which is, I don't know, 130, 140 pounds of fish, and I only came 3rd in my section, which wasn't great because you probably need to win at least on 2 days for your sections to get anywhere. But the good news is that my partner, Richard, who's a brilliant angler, did, oh God, what was it, 135 kilos of fish, and 375 of them apparently. How he manages to count 375 without getting it wrong, I don't know, but he hasn't got a clicker, I don't think. Anyway, that's by the by. He did really, really well. He won the match, he won his section, and that means as a pair, as a team, we're still in the lead, only by 1 point, so I can't stuff it up today. I know he'll do well because he's a good angler, but I really need to pull my finger out. Now, I've drawn a peg which has done pretty well for the last couple of days. I've got my keep nets. That one's actually staked out. That one's staked out this time. This one I couldn't stake out, but the current's taking it down. But just off the end of my keep net, it's starting to go through at quite a strong pace. Anyway, that's where we're at. So whistle goes in about 10 minutes. I'll be back when it starts. Hat. Hat. Owen! Right, off we go. See what happens here. I'm doing what Richard did yesterday. And using a load of corn. Oh, I hope that's not a portend for things to come. Oh, okay. Tiddlers. Like yesterday. One. A bit closer. Well, could do without these little ones. Either that, or I need to do about 600 of them. That's a bit better. Wind's pretty rough again today, isn't it? Oh, okay. Get out of there. Might need to tighten this elastic down. In fact, I think I'm going to. But that's 4 anyway. Right, let me sort this elastic. And that's why I keep the net in front of me if I can. When they fall off, they fall into the net. 28. Oh, tiny. And swallowed it all in one go. Oh no, you're okay. No, we're not. $29. Can't feel my fingers. It's cold. Somebody else's float there in front of me. That's what I'm catching on. The guy from yesterday did say he'd lost one there. Well, as you can see, I'm just pretty much feeding every chuck just a pinch of corn. And if you're wondering why I'm feeding slightly short of where my float is, it's because there's kind of like a back eddy and it gets washed down and around. Life's never straightforward, is it? Oh, we're doing a run of small ones now. When you're ready, fish. 61. Alright, well if we can keep this up for another 5 hours, that'll be well over 300 fish. But that's wishful thinking, Den, so don't think like that. Fish are quite reasonable now, getting odd small ones, but these are all sort of in the 3/4 of a pound range, maybe a pound, which is perfect for what I want. Pound at a time. 118. Actually, that's more than a pound, which is quite good. Still no bigger fish. Come on, out there. Still no bigger fish in the sort of 5 pound range, but can't complain when you're catching fish like this all the time. At the moment we're on basically 60 fish an hour, give or take. I'll tell you in a second whether that's true or not. Oh. Current keeps changing directions and speeds and swirling. Doesn't always go under either, it's just sometimes just the bob is all you need. Try holding it back a fraction and then releasing again. That's been working quite a lot actually. Smaller fish. 119. One to go. Let's see if I can crack the 60 an hour exactly. I think I might be a fraction over already actually, but you can't complain at this, can you? Oof, yeah, that's blown the average. Oh, around the top again. It's happened a few times today. Oh well, we've got 119 in the second hour, by the end of the second hour anyway, so that's not bad, is it? No point in checking because I know I'm just over the time limit now. That's alright, we can pick up one in the next hour. No, don't need this. All the times I've been down there, never got jammed up, and here we are, jammed up. Something moved, I don't know what gave, but something did. And it was my hook. That's fair enough. Okay, well, I just looked at the clock and it's just after 1:30, and this will be my 223rd fish. We've got 2 hours to go because we're finishing at 3:30 today, and these are definitely a lot bigger than yesterday's. So I'm feeling kind of hopeful that I might do okay. It's not exactly difficult fishing, is it? Anyway, same old, same old. I've lost a few hooks, I've lost a few fish. I found snags where there weren't any snags for the last 2 hours and all of a sudden there was. But literally, at this point in time, I'm dropping it down in front of me, chucking a few bits of bait out and then just holding it back. You can probably see the float in front of you, and it goes under, look. And basically that's it, 224. So I think we're a little bit behind target for what we wanted to be, but you can't expect to catch 60 fish an hour, I suppose, all the time, but we can live in hope. Well, if I get this one, this will be 290, which will be the equivalent of what I caught on day one. Wasn't what I expected. Equivalent to what I caught on day one, and I weighed in 110 kilos on that day, which, if I remember rightly, was just over 240 pounds. So I haven't got the larger fish today, the 5-pounders, but the average has been pretty good. So if I've got that sort of 110 again, I'll be over the moon. Mind you, this isn't going to do it for me, is it? Had to choose this time to do this piece to camera. However, see, I'm getting all the jargon these days too. Right, that's 290. And we've got 45 minutes to go, would you believe? Ooh. And you get into a rhythm and then you just lose it again. Got about half an hour to go, 25 minutes, something like that, and I've got 315 fish. And if that's not going to make a good weight, I don't know what will. I'm quite pleased with myself because I was really concerned last night about letting Richard down on the pairs yesterday, and hopefully I wasn't going to do it again today. But I think with 315 fish, even if I don't catch another one, which I should, I've had a reasonable day, done the best I can, and I don't feel too bad about it. They're not all sort of big fish, as you've seen. They're all about this size, actually. Get my neck caught. Who knew you'd be swinging almost a pound fishing? 16. I mean, technically, I could actually have 330 odd, couldn't I? We'll see. We're in the last 3 minutes of the competition now, and I've got 325 fish, so I can't see me making 330, but hey, it was close. Oh, still catching well, but I have to admit, I'm getting a bit tired now. A long tournament. Not so much the fishing, it's the getting the boxes and all the rest of your tackle up and down these sand hills that are behind me. It's like very fine sand and you've got to get up and down it, and it's not doing my back any good. That's 326. Richard's done well, because I think I've got a chance of winning my section, and that's what it's all about. If we both win our section, we win the pairs match. Ah, come on. Coming under and I'm missing them. How are we? Got 1 minute. Last cast then, I presume. Come on, fish. Come on, fish. Hey. 327. Got close, didn't I? Thought I heard the all out there, but all out! Right, well, now it just remains for me to get all this stuff packed up, get weighed in, get home, of course get the results, get home, and then I'll be able to do the rest of this video for you. Now, of course, that'll be tomorrow for me, but for you, it'll just be a couple of seconds. Okay then folks, so that's me back home after a very long 750-mile journey just to get back here. But I'm back now and I've got the results. Before I go through them, let me just explain once again that this is a 3-day tournament based on points, and particularly points for your section. It's both an individual and a pairs event, so what you have to do is to win your section, preferably on all 3 days, and have a very big weight, and then you're probably going to win. So if you come first in your section, you get 1 point, second gets 2 points, third gets 3 points, and so on. So that's the explanation. Let's go through the results. Got them here. Pairs wise, first day I did pretty well. I had 110 kilos, which is about 240 odd pounds, and I won the match, which was great. But more importantly, as I said just a second ago, I also won the section. And more importantly still, my partner, Richard, did really well too, because he came second overall with 105 kilos. And he also won his section. So, day one, going through into day two, we're in pole position, we're winning. Day two, I had a bit of a, well, I won't call it a disaster, but it wasn't too great. I had something like 265 fish and I had 65 kilos. The fish were all far too small on that day and I couldn't seem to get my hands on anything bigger. So that dropped me into third place in the section. But my redoubtable partner, Richard, stormed the match with 132 kilos, which is coming up close to 300 pounds. And of course, he won his section. What that meant was we were still just in the lead by, I think, probably 1 point at that juncture. And that all led into day three. Now at this point, Richard has done so well with a second overall on day one and a first overall with a huge score on day two. He's also new to the venue, so everyone was rooting for him to do well that day and literally win the whole thing. But unfortunately, on the day, he drew a very difficult peg. He still did really well. I think he had something like 90 odd kilos. I don't know exactly what the weight was, but he only came third in his section. And that dropped him right down in the individual standings. I did actually manage to pull my finger out and win the section. I had, I think it was 96 kilos. I think it was about 327 fish. So, in terms of the individual then, turns out that Richard turned out to be fourth overall. He had 5 points, and I turned out to be fifth overall, also with 5 points. He had 336 kilos overall, and I had 271 kilos, so he took fourth place. If only he'd got one more point, he'd have been way up in the sort of second or third place, but it just wasn't to be, and that's fishing. However, we did win the pairs match. So we got 2 trophies. I still haven't given him his yet. And we also won the pairs shield, which can't be all bad, can it? So that was the 3-day tournament, which I think most of us, or if not all of us, thoroughly enjoyed. I know I certainly did. So that's it for another year then, folks. There's always next year. Well done again to Richard. I'd certainly have him as a partner again. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit longer this time, it's about an hour and 20 odd minutes, but it's difficult to get all of the action in for 3 days in sort of 40 minutes or so. So anyway, I hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, please click the like button. If you want to subscribe, feel free, and until the next time, bye for now.